Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Good to see you all once again. Before we get started, let's go ahead and send it back to you guys in the audience first for that usual mic check. Guys and gals in the audience, if you guys can hear me right now, please let me know with some thumbs ups, with some hearts, or with some other kind of indication that the audio is in fact reaching you all right now. Vitalik, Sapien, Web3 MJ, good to see you. Edel Finance, Sumex, thank you guys so much for helping us out. Rain, brother, good to see you as well. How you doing, man? Amazing stuff. Gammon, thank you. Appreciate you. All right, guys, mic check is complete, but kindly give us a few more minutes here just to get everything set up properly on the panel. That being said, I do see the check mark at the bottom right-hand corner, so please give me one moment here as we pin the Spaces title up to the top of the Jumbotron. When it does appear, please take a moment, go to the top of said Jumbotron, give us a like, comment, and retweet on today's space, and we will be starting the show in just a few more minutes. Let's go.
I've got a choice to make, it's easy as can be. I see a lot of faces, but only one for me. I want to impress you, baby, from across the screen. Put on my Sunday best, call me the war machine.
It's your way I'm looking. I'm like, were you Hadouken? Yeah, you caught my eye. Now I've got to try to get you, baby, on my side. I wanna take you for a ride. I wanna take you for a ride. It's plain to see this ain't a game to me.
Baby, you're my bestie. I wanna take you for a ride.
Where's your curly sash? I work you harder than the bus and mash. It's home at number 37. Give you that touch of that until you're up in heaven.
Sing the game to me, baby. No, it's only you that can save me. Yeah, you caught my eye. Now I've got to try to get you, baby, on my side.
I wanna take you for a ride. I wanna take you for a ride.
Plain to see this ain't a game to me, but
Baby, you're my destiny.
I wanna take you. I wanna take you for a ride. Take it.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Meteora Ecosystem, showcasing the projects, the people, and the platforms that are help shaping Meteora's future. My name is Ice, and I'll be your host for today's show. Now, ladies and gents, whether you guys are actively avoiding it or maybe you are using it every single day, I think all of us have had this thought at one point. Is AI gonna end up replacing humans? As a matter of fact, let's get more specific. Is AI gonna end up replacing me? For some of us, that answer is no, but for many of us, the answer is unfortunately yes. And I do get it. This can be a very polarizing question for this exact reason. And that is why I think it is very valuable to hear from industry leaders such as yourselves. Just what is it that smart builders are doing to stay ahead of the game? Let's talk about this, guys. But first, let me check in with my co-host, head of strategy and ecosystem lead for Meteora. What's going on, Vesper? How are you doing today, my friend?
Hey Ice, I'm doing great today. Spring is really here, and it's just really incredible to be in the second quarter, as it were, of the year, right? So quickly, so much has happened, like crazy for AI too. Excited to be here as always.
Thank you so much, Vesper. It really is like that. I feel like whenever we come back every single week, there's always some kind of new protocol or some kind of new crazy innovation that AI has come up with, and it feels like there's always something new coming out, and builders and creators are trying to keep up. And I don't know, I see the power struggle going back and forth. But do you feel the same way? Do you feel like that AI innovations is rolling out quicker than the average user can keep up with? What are your thoughts on this, Vesper?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're probably months ahead of what they're releasing to most people right now. And there's like this crazy graphic, which it's probably outdated now, but it was really brilliant. It showed like the dots of like how many people actually know about AI, how many people are using AI actively in terms of like, I guess, the recent advances in agentic AI. And the adoption rate was really low still. So the vast majority of people have no idea what's going on. I think being in Web3, crypto, blockchain, however you want to call it, we're often at the forefront of all of these changes. So I think that we're actually experiencing the future a bit faster than most average people out there.
I absolutely agree. And I was actually kind of shocked. This must have been months ago since we last ran this, but I believe, a couple of months back, we did talk about this. And then I think I predicted like 50 or 60% of everyone to actually use or know about AI. But apparently the number was like under 30%, and it took me by storm. I was absolutely shocked because my 3-year-old like niece knows about like ChatGPT, right? And it's like whenever she has conversations with her mom, it actually kind of boggles me how she knows so much about it. So like really under 30%, man. That number needs to do some work. But before we go on to the panelist introductions, Vesper, do you want to quickly run through what has the past 2 or 3 weeks been looking like for Meteora? What are the latest updates?
Yeah, thanks. So Meteora has been shipping constantly. Like if you go to our X page, we have so many, this is Meteora AG, we have so many incredible updates. I'll just pin the latest release that we have shared to the Jumbotron in the spaces. We've made it really easy for everyone to be able to create liquidity pools and immediately just, get a position. And I should probably back up here and kind of explain to people what Meteora does. So Meteora creates the ability for people to very easily swap into and out of tokens. And beyond this, we make it very easy for people to earn from basically other people's trades, because if you provide liquidity, so if you deposit your tokens via Meteora, you will earn fees dependent on how the chart moves. So if the chart like has a lot of volatility and there's lots of trading in and out by other people, you earn fees from those swaps. So it's a DeFi protocol that's really designed to reward people for participating and deciding to, risk their capital to help other people's trades go through more smoothly.
Thank you so much for that, Vesper. And one last time before we get started, if people want to be more involved with Meteora Ecosystems, where can they go?
They can visit us on our X page. That's Meteora Eco. And I will just pin to the top an update which covers some of the things that are going on in our ecosystem. So you get a real sense of what we do. We work with projects who use Meteora's technology in some sort of way. So that's really a lot of projects. And we try to highlight a lot of the work they do. And oftentimes there are cool opportunities for people to get involved, whether that's finding a new project, discovering a token community that's doing really well, or simply just actually using our technology. So I definitely encourage people to follow us and to get involved in what we do.
100%. Thank you so much for that, Vesper. And you guys heard the lady. If you guys want to work with Meteora, please reach out. Please head into their community, head into the Discord, but also if you guys have any questions regarding how to get access or how to work with Meteora, we would absolutely appreciate it if you guys drop those questions in the comment section as well. All right. But that being said, let's go ahead and check in with our lovely panelists that we've invited for today's show. And first up, I do want to say hello to our rep coming back once again from Sapien. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, it's Ali. A pleasure to be back, and really looking forward to today's conversation.
Yes, sir. Ali, welcome back. How have you been, man?
Been doing well. It's been a busy few weeks. Got a chance to head over to ETHCC in Cannes. Was also at NVIDIA GTC, and there's I'm setting up another Mac Mini in the background. Sorry about that. It's been absolutely amazing seeing what's happening on the floor and what people have been building.
Indeed so. And also, if you guys are wondering, why is there a shortage on the Mac Minis? Well, Ali may or may not be able to give you the alpha as to why that is. But my man, thank you so much for following up today. We'll get this conversation underway in just a moment. But before we do, let me go ahead and say hello to our guy coming in, Vitalik. Good to see you once again, bro. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm very good. The same as the Sapien guys, just came from ECC. Have some time to rest after the very crazy conferences in the main this year in Europe, and happy to be here. And additional thank you for Meteora for very good documentation, because our developers really likes it.
Yeah, shout outs to Meteora. Thank you so much for that. And thank you, Vesper. Thank you so much for bridging that connection. Truly appreciate you. And next up, before we begin, let's go ahead and say hello to the friends coming in from Edel Finance. How you guys doing?
Hello, doing amazing. Also just got back from France, from Cannes, and before we were at the Digital Asset Summit in New York. So super happy to be back home finally and excited for the space.
Oh man, trekking back all the way from New York. Hopefully that was a safe travel for you, my friend. And yes, but before we actually pass the mic to the next speaker, representative from Edel Finance, how shall I address you throughout today's show?
I'm Andres, one of the co-founders of Edel Finance.
Perfect. Andreas, thank you so much for joining us. Pleasure to have you here on stage. And next up, before we get the panel rolling, we do got to check in with our friends from Sumex. Is that Tony representing the house account today by any chance?
Yeah, you know it, Ice. It is. Hello, everyone. Hello. Good to be here. Thanks for the invites. And might sound menacingly, but Meteor is on our list for the integration. So good stuff, good stuff. And I'm definitely excited to be here to actually see what the smart builders are doing, because I can't necessarily say I'm the smart one. So let's see what others have to offer.
Oh my goodness, brother, you are far too kind, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the little bit of the sprinkle of humor and a lot of the science behind that. But I think we've already kind of alluded to what smart builders are doing. If you guys caught briefly, previously what happened, when my friend unmuted his mic, you guys will know exactly what we're alluding to. But anyway, Caleb clearly has things under control. Let's go ahead and push this conversation over to our panelists. All right. First thing that I do want to talk to you guys about, when it comes to the AI tech creep, what is one strategy that you've seen or used in order to stay ahead as a builder? So please take a moment, think about what you want to say, and whenever you guys are ready to join in on the conversation, kindly use the bottom right-hand panel to raise your hands like so. And as I look to my screen, I already see two panelists have front run me on that. So this will be a fun one today. But guys, before we get started, if you guys have anything to say in direct response or perhaps to even rebuttal what a previous speaker has just said, then keep those hands raised for me, guys. But also hit me up with one of these waving hand emotes right over here, and I'll be more than happy to skip the line and send you the mic ASAP. And for the rest of our audience members, please go back to the Jumbotron. One quick scroll to the right, give us a like, comment, and retweet on today's space as I hand the mic over to Vitalik to kind of lead the conversation. And then we'll check in with Ali right afterwards. Vitalik, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. I think the answer is very simple. It's to be ahead of everybody, you have to track what's happened on the market, because in 1 week, there's 10, 20 updates in the major LLMs, in the major AI systems. And even just before this panel, I just saw that Claude released Master's Preview. It's totally changed the game. And to be aligned with the market, you have to just know everything what's happened and use the most updated tools. I think my answer is pretty short, but I think it's the most important now on the growing market.
Interesting. This might come as either a very polarizing question, or it might be just a no-brainer for you, Vitalik. But if we were to really dig deeper, right, would you say the updated tools, or at least with regards to AI, would you say the most updated and most new tools are always better than the previous ones?
It's not always, because time to time you can optimize it better for your job by building the task resolvers, because I think AI, it's not about the cutting people from the market, but it's more about the decreasing the time for the task extension. So, and like the most recently, as I told, like the new type of the tools are very important, because just 1 hour before the session, I read about the Claude Myers preview, and I was amazed. They started to do not just the LLM in IDE, etc. They build for you the whole team, which work for you through the AI agents, and everybody has their responsible fields within the development cycle.
Well said. I appreciate your take, Vitalik. You know, we got some more hands, but I do want to honor Ali's first. Ali, you had your hand up before Andreas. So let's go ahead and pass the mic over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree for the most part. I think right now we're sort of transitioning from whoever could code the fastest or research something deepest to, you know, making the best decisions and those leading to some sort of success indicator, right? Execution is becoming commoditized, and we have to treat AI as like a force multiplier on all the boring stuff that we do daily. At least that's what I do. So like if there's any documentation work, research synthesis, if I'm like putting together a lot of different research, a lot of different notes that I have, creating synthesis from that, or doing competitive analysis, that, like, surprisingly, if you look into it, that may be more than half of the work that you have on a daily basis. So if we're using AI as a force multiplier, we're sort of like, you know, stepping past all the boring stuff and really getting to the nitty gritty, like strategic positioning work that you have to do as a business, and really looking into like the different strategies for distribution, understanding your customers, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's really important. And I think just like when we're using these tools, it's really important to have some sort of understanding of like the risk involved with whatever actions, because right now we're really stepping away from not only doing research with a lot of tools we're using, but now execution. And it's really important. I sort of dropped a note on this in one of my posts earlier. It's like people are pivoting to harness engineering, and there's a lot of like back and forth on this whole concept of harness engineering. But I really like the analogy that like prompt engineering was about what you ask, context engineering was about what the system knows, and now harness engineering is about how the system operates. So asking questions like, do they have clear steps to follow? What tools can they use? So you're not only using an intern, but you're using like a force multiplier, someone who's on the ground, an expert, not only just a consultant, an executor in the space. So I think that's really important. I know I touched on a couple of different things, but I thought I'd put that out there as we start the convo.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for that, Ali. Man, I saw Vesper popping off. Vesper, if you have anything you want to add, please just unmute and dish it away, because I know you really like that take. But in the meantime, while Vesper decides if she wants to follow up, I got one quick follow up for you, Ali, because you mentioned a lot, right? Harness engineering, strategic positioning, and of course distribution. One of the things that Web3 has been struggling to get right for years on end. But the one line that you said that I absolutely love, and I believe I've had the same conversation with Sapien in the past, Ali, and that is treating AI as a force multiplier and not as replacing the human upfront, right? But you also mentioned understanding the risks involved with using it. And I really like this. I like this approach a lot. I'm playing devil's advocate, right? But I just kind of want to go back to you real fast, Ali. If we're using AI as a force multiplier, that implies that there is some kind of a base skill set that it is amplifying. That being said, what are these base skills that we need to learn, Ali?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think like people who have been keeping up in the AI space have been obviously understanding prompt engineering and context engineering when it comes to like using AI tools. So knowing what are the right questions to ask. If you're working in a specific niche in marketing, for example, or if you're working in product, you need to understand that like how you're communicating with these tools, and it's like a human. Like these tools are engineered to understand you know the way we communicate and the way we solve our problems and have these conversations. So you know, really being open about that. And I think just like the force multiplier whole narrative is really simple. It's like we're not there yet where it's replacing us, right? It's when it becomes a force multiplier, when you're effective with these tooling, you're a lot more effective in your execution. You're a lot more effective in the type of solutions you're putting out there and how you're solving problems, whether you're someone who's a team leader or someone who's, an individual solo contributor. The type of work you're doing now is just amplified 10x. And I think that's like, it's important to frame it that way, that, okay, we don't have AGI yet. How are we using tools like Clawbot and these automation workflows to get rid of like the boring stuff and really focus on like the intellectual power that we have in terms of like proprietary knowledge in our different teams, and making the right decisions. And I think that's what it boils down to, making the right decisions. We are the ones who are making decisions at the end of the day. ChatGPT or Claude will give us 100 different options, but we have to boil down to what is the right option for us and take the risk involved with that.
I love that delivery, Ali. And you put it very professional and very and very high stakes. And I really do like that. I'm going to bastardize that. I'm going to do a very low stakes version. But essentially what Ali said is correct. And if there's anything that we need to take from this is that humans need to make better decisions. All right. And you know who you are. If you go to McDonald's and you're standing there for 10 minutes deciding between the Big Mac and the quarter pounder, like, hello, something is going wrong here. Brush up on your base skills, you guys. But that being said, I do digress. Vesper, you've got your hand up. Let me go ahead and send it back to our dear co-host. Please, the floor is yours.
Yes, I just wanted to back up what, sorry, I didn't catch the name. Was it Ali from Sapien was mentioning, talking around the transition to using harnesses and it really being a force multiplier. And so I just pinned a few tweets to the Jumbotron. So my favorite tweet of the two is from Jeff Wu, where he's like, basically you need to be AI maxing right now, which is doing everything that was explained by Ali, absorbing the information that's out there, figuring out how you can use it to really multiply whatever you want to do, or you need to be looks maxing. So we kind of have seen this interesting split between people who are using AI to like get ahead in life in so many interesting ways. Like I've seen people use it to plan their like household schedule. People use it to kind of like, manage their paperwork, all the way to people using it to get ahead at work. And then there are also people who are interested in kind of applying the same thing to their bodies, and they're like using peptides or other types of health longevity medicine to kind of like hack their way to being like a better human being. So we've kind of like reached a society which is very, very like intensely focused on improvement. And one of the ways to really get ahead, and I really believe this, is finding great harnesses to use. So the second tweet I pinned was from Gary Tan, and he uses a G-Stack AI framework to basically kind of launch a company for himself. And once it's live, all of the AI agents are operating as a workforce. And it's a huge force multiplier, particularly for founders, particularly for people who have small teams. So people can go check out that tweet. But it really is just to support what Ali was saying, that like the idea of AI as a force multiplier is way more powerful than AI replacing humans. And so for people who have that relationship with AI, they tend to get ahead. Maybe later on in the conversation, I can talk about what I'm using, but I'd also love to hear about the other panelists, because I feel like this is something that many of us kind of like are also doing.
Man, Vesper, we've been doing this for so long. You literally just read my mind. I was gonna actually just follow up and say, if there's any platforms that, or if you're okay with showcasing what you are using, please feel free to do so. But if you prefer, I can definitely pass the mic over to Andreas and Tony first, and then we can circle back to the tools you're using. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we can circle back, because I know they had their hand up for a while, yeah. but it's dope that we're very aligned on this. So.
We truly are. Thank you so much for that, Vesper. On that note, Andreas, please, the floor is yours. Sending the mic your way.
It's so interesting what's being mentioned in here. I thought the most interesting thing that Ali just said before was that in this day and age with platforms like Claude Code, where everyone can just create anything over a weekend, right? When it required a whole dev team, hundreds of thousands of dollars of investment and months of preparation, you can code whatever app, whatever idea you have, you can code in a weekend, right? Now, maybe in a few hours even. And now you see this wave of people jumping on this train and just building stuff, right? Just building things. without really thinking too much about it. And I think it's super important to realize, okay, now we have this mega powerful tool, which, I mean, one discussion we're having is if and how and why everyone in the world should use it for obvious reasons. We can go into that definitely as well, but because you can build stuff and ship stuff so fast, it's becoming more and more important to make strategic decisions, right? It's very easy now to become distracted with things. I've seen friends of mine just locking themselves in, building stuff with Claude code, right? For no big reason, neglecting their work, neglecting their main business, just because it gives you so much dopamine to just see you creating shit that took you like 3 devs and 1 month of work in 2 or 3 prompts, right? So I think this is super, super important, that people realize, okay, yes, this is super powerful, and yes, 100% you should look into it. I would use the analogy of, if you're using, or if you're educating yourself on AI right now, it's like sharpening your axe, right? While guys who are not doing it, they're just like going and start hacking on the tree, just like hitting it, trying to get it down, and you're sharpening the axe, and you can hit it down with 100x the speed after, right? So I think there is going to be like a Darwinistic evolutionary point where people who are adopting AI, they're going to be able to just have so much more output. A law firm who is implementing AI into their systems is going to be able to process 10x or 100x of the clients that they could do now, while other companies who are denying it, or who are saying, hey, we don't want to do it, or we don't have the time, or we don't have the resource, we don't have the knowledge to invest in that, they're going to die, right? Because they just cannot keep up. So yeah, this topic is so sensitive right now and so interesting. There's so many different high value topics to discuss about it. But yeah, these are my 2-3 cents about this whole discussion here.
Yeah, thank you for that, Andreas. And on the topic of the resource needed, I really do think that this was a bigger problem in 2023, right? When AI was just first taking the world by storm, a lot of these utilities came with hefty prices, subscription fees, and things that, like, credits that you didn't even know how much they cost. But now, I feel like now it's a little bit more tame, fast forward 3 years into the future, and this will continue to work this way with any industry out there. And it's that as technology becomes more refined and gets sharper and more companies start to pick up on it, the resource required to attain such technology is also gonna decrease. So just because it cost $1,000 2-3 years ago doesn't mean it's gonna cost the same amount of money now. So for all the tech companies and the founders listening, just a little bit of food for thought for y'all. But on that note, Tony, I would love to pass the mic over to you. Go for it, man.
I mean, pretty much everything has already been mentioned by the time we got to me, but I heard some threats about, people not using AI going to die, and, peptides, and yeah, I almost lost my train of thought. But in terms of, going back to to the original question, what sort of things are needed, to stay ahead? 100% agree with Ali, I believe, right? Yeah. Okay. From Sapien. Yes. Thank you, guys. In regards to, it's obviously a force multiplier, 100%. And that force multiplier can actually be used alone by itself, as long as you're smart about it. Delegating, the very, original sort of task where it actually needs to think, because still AI doesn't really think. It's just, a very convoluted way of saying algorithm. So, that's obviously, a big thing to use it, in a smart sense. But also, funny enough, I'm actually going to advocate a little bit that it's also a good idea not to jump into every single, LLM or piece of AI that's been released every single day, because they literally, get developed faster than you can actually, install the model and start using it and start to read into the documentation. So it's, the same thing as using like any dev toolkit. Just give it a little bit of time. Get proficient with whatever you're using right now, because I've already seen a few examples, even from some, friends or acquaintances of mine within the industry, trying to build something without actually knowing, even the basics of how it works, or how, to create that workflow, et cetera, and then being frustrated. I spent so much money on credits, and it's absolutely garbage. It doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. Using it correctly. So just give it time. So stop jumping from, one AI to the other one, thinking that, there is this magic button that you need to press, and then it's just going to read your mind and start creating all the things that you wanted all of a sudden. So, just taking a step back, taking it a little bit slower, although it might sound counterintuitive at some point.
It makes a lot of sense, to be honest, Tony, because, and this is why, right? I think 2 questions ago, I think one of the follow-ups was like, what should we actually be doing if everything that comes along with this new tech seems to be better? Like, is it always true? Is the new tech always better? And this is why I think somewhere in my heart, I'm aligned with you, Tony. I feel like, yes, maybe the new tech is better, but it doesn't mean that there's nothing to be learned from taking the time to actually master and specialize on that one AI model, right? And I also do believe by being a master of one, you can probably take that skill and go to any other AI model that comes afterwards and find a lot of synergetic skills. Like I think that is something that we cannot refute. But Ali, you got your hand up. Let's go ahead and send it back to you, man. What's on your mind?
I literally couldn't agree more. There's so many tools being put out there, and they're being developed so fast that you need to understand the guardrails to be put in place when using these tools. And because they're being put out there so fast, we're not spending enough time understanding those guardrails or understanding what the risk is involved with it. So if we're just going to jump in and use them, or as a normie, just use a new AI tool because it sounds really cool, like it could be pretty. I don't want to say terrible for you, but it can have some adverse effects. I think that's just like a good precaution for anyone. Is use the trusted tools being put out there. They're being improved upon very well on a daily basis. Like the big names already. I for quite a while, I know we're about to get into talking about some tools that we're using on a daily basis. So I may just slightly touch on that. Is that I've been using Manus since they were in beta, and they're like a general agent tool, and I was using it more so for like where it would essentially spin up a remote computer and like do various actions. I was using it for research, etc. But with like Claude Cowork, I've like literally cut down majority of my subscriptions to various agentic products and tools that I've been using, and it's about understanding like what guardrails you need to put in place when you're using tools like Claude Cowork, right? It's powerful. Don't get me wrong. It has access to whatever your computer may have, just like OpenClaw when people are just spitting it up on their own devices. But like, yeah, listen to those people in the industry who are really good at understanding what risk is involved with using these tools. And when they're telling you to, put some sort of guardrail up, do it, right? Spend the extra 5-10 minutes or an hour or a day that you could have been spent vibe coding, but instead like put up those security measures instead. And I think that's really, really important.
Man, Ali's just dropping all the alpha today. I appreciate you, brother. Before I let you go and before I send the Mac back to Andreas, since we talked about Manus, since we talked about Claude Cowork, and I'm sure Vesper will add more to the list in just a few more minutes. But while we are here, Ali, you mentioned that Claude Cowork has allowed you to basically remove all these other selves, the other products that are required for your workflow. So if you were to be picky and play devil's advocate, Ali, what is something that you wish Claude Cowork has that it currently does not have the ability to do just yet?
I'll be honest, I feel like we're spoiled enough with what Claude Cowork has been giving us, and tools like Claude Code. I think that like maybe the UI or templates that are being given could be improved upon, but I mean, like, come on, like it's so cool what it can do, what it's given. I ain't complaining. I ain't asking for any more. I'll use it to the best of what it's given me, and I'll continue to use it. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of much. I'll be honest with you. I'm sure some of the brilliant people on the panel today could probably come up with some ideas. But yeah, I'm just a fan.
Fair enough, brother. I guess that just goes to show we are still in this discovery phase of what Claude Code is actually capable of. So if there's anything that shouts, we are still early, this is it. On that note, before I send it back to our panelists, I do want to check in with Vesper real fast. Since we're talking about Manus, we're talking about Claude, I do want to go back to that question before the moment is lost. So let's talk about the other apps or perhaps AI protocols that you are actually using to help streamline your workflow, Vesper, and then we will check back in with Andreas and Caleb right afterwards.
Yeah, this is such a great conversation. I'm really enjoying hearing everyone's perspectives, and it's just really interesting to see how much we align on the same approach. I absolutely agree. Like, I think that people can be overwhelmed by the amount of tooling. And I was super fortunate. So, I went to Mountain DAO. We've spoken about Mountain DAO in the past. Let me try and quickly pin this for anyone who's not familiar. So every, twice a year in Solana, there is this really, really amazing thing that happens. A lot of developers gather in Utah, of all places, and they share what they're building, they share what they're working on. And so if you end up going, you end up being in this really awesome environment with just lots of people who are kind of like incredible developers. So this Mountain DAO, everyone was using AI. And I had the real cool opportunity to be part of a stealth trial of a product called Pentagon. What was so cool about Pentagon was that it's a harness. So let me pin it. So it's just been announced also that Pentagon was accepted into Y Combinator. Pentagon is like a harness tool. It's basically like AI agentic orchestration, which is like a lot of words to just say you can manage lots of different agents at once, and it's really phenomenal. So because I started using an agentic orchestration tool from the very beginning of my whole like AI journey, I've been ahead of people for several weeks. Now we're all on the same playing field. You need to manage multiple agents. You need to figure out harnesses. But that kind of is what I've been using for a while, and people can check it out. It should be pinned to the spaces. And I'll also just quickly drop a tweet that I made yesterday where I kind of like disclosed once we kind of like were allowed to like start sharing. I was very keen to start sharing what I've been doing with Pentagon. I've basically just been prompting, as it were. I wouldn't even call it prompting. I just talk to the agents and they figure out what to do. I don't know how to code. I don't have much experience with technical systems. I have done quite a bit with like consulting and like project management though. So I have some idea of like what you want your workforce to be and do. And so that's helped me hugely just to move ahead. So right now this uses Claude. I'm very happy with Claude, very happy with Anthropic. You know, wherever they're going to go and grow, I will just keep going with them. It's quite challenging, I would say, from a cost perspective, because I'm effectively now a locked in customer. So they did this amazing thing where they kind of like gave us all a lot of credits last weekend. They then decided to like go back to the regular system, and it's quite expensive to use them. But nonetheless, Claude is really at the forefront of advances, and they're competing really well with their other with the other types of competitors, which means that generally speaking, if you stick with Claude or OpenAI or any of these really big ones, you're going to end up usually being at the forefront of innovation. So you don't need to worry too much. It's maybe a few things which you might find in terms of costs, how plans work, how you particularly like software that might determine which one you go with. But yeah, I use Pentagon.run and Claude. I don't have to worry about a thing. I just talk to the agents and they do the work. Yes, you can improve a lot. Like as the panelists are saying, you don't want to spend hours prompting. You don't want to waste tokens. So there are lots of efficient ways. But the beautiful thing about Pentagon is because it's being run and led by an incredible developer. He stays up to date with all the changes. So he will implement the changes. And as a user or a prosumer, I don't need to keep up with like 1,000,001 announcements. I just need to trust that the person whose tech I'm using is kept up to date. So I definitely recommend this type of harness for people who are more on the sidelines, more like not familiar, not native to AI, not native to developers. You're not a software engineer. You can still do incredibly well if you find the right tooling that works for you.
Oh man, thank you so much for that, Vesper. So we got another recommendation, another recommendation going forward towards Claude. Of course, we talk about Manus, we talk about Claude Cowork, OpenAI. I'm actually surprised. I'm a little bit surprised OpenAI made the cut. I thought they were going to take a really long hiatus. Now they're involved with stuff at the White House, stuff at the Pentagon, on the other side of the world. But anyway, I guess Claude is still leading the charge in that regard. But we got some hands up from our panelists though. I do apologize for the wait, but Andreas, I want to check in with you and then we'll pass the mic over to Caleb right afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, from my end, I'm also, I did the switch a couple months ago from OpenAI to Claude. However, I wanted to elaborate on this a little bit. I mean, there was a lot of thought around OpenAI, and then a lot of FOMO into Claude. You saw the user numbers skyrocketed on Claude. However, if you check the values right now, the new model of OpenAI is actually better than Opus 4.6, right? So I think if anyone out there started to feel comfortable with any solution that they're currently using, whether it's Google, it's X, or it's Anthropic, OpenAI, whatever, as some other panelists said, I think you're good if you just stick with what you feel comfortable with. The main reason why I'm loving Anthropic or Claude right now is because of the code, right? You can just do crazy stuff with it. The building features on Claude Code are just simply amazing. Claude Cowork, I'm not using too much yet. And then just simply, chatting with Claude is awesome. Yeah, I'm mainly using Anthropic right now, and I'm loving it. Exactly.
Oh, I thought you were mainly using Claude, so you're actually mainly using Anthropic right now, Andreas. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, Claude is by Anthropic, right? So I'm using Anthropic for like the tokens to run my own agent. I'm using OpenClaw, and I'm using the LLM of Anthropic, and then for like more normal work like coding or just general research, I'm using Claude.
I gotcha. Kind of sounds like we might need to revisit that conversation with Ali, because apparently Ali has found the trick, the one trick to actually cancel all of our subscriptions to all the other platforms. So maybe we got to circle back to that. But before we do, Caleb, you got your hand up. Let's go ahead and check in with you, my brother.
How's it going, brother? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. We hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. Nice, man. How's it going, Ice? Long time no see. Hello to everyone on the rest of the panel and in the audience. My name is Caleb. I'm founder of Unity. And yeah, really interesting conversation. I mean, for me personally, how I've integrated AI into my life is automating a lot of tasks, which would be strenuous, long-winded, right? Like, for example, we're giving away over 100 t-shirts to our community right now. So all of the admin work to deal with all the postage and everything, we've been able to automate with AI. Which has been really good. And I mean, Cloud is definitely taking the lead. Anthropic, we were offered them at a $26 billion valuation, $43 per stock on their ICO rounds. So looking forward when they're going public. But yeah, they're killing it, bro. Honestly, when it comes to coding, I don't think it gets better than Cloud. It would be nice if they could add image generation for Cloud as well, like ChatGPT has. But I'm not like a developer. I have a team of developers I work with, and they all use Cloud as well. So, yeah, definitely. But really appreciate everyone's takes on the space, and God bless everyone.
Thank you for your kindness, Caleb. You know, before we reset the conversation, right, we're about approaching the final 15-minute mark. I do want to get into our final segment, which is a misconceptions people may have. So keep that at the back of your mind, panelists, as we approach that segment. But Caleb, while I still have you here, you mentioned that OpenCloud is not the greatest when it comes to image and I suppose by extension video generation, right? So do you have any platforms or perhaps recommendations when that you would recommend when it does come to image or video generation specifically, Caleb?
I think Gemini, ChatGPT, Grok, these are probably the best ones. I was actually messing around with Grok the other day because it's good. You can do videos. So I was making one with some of the members of our team. It was quite funny. But yeah, I recommend those three: Gemini, Grok. Yeah.
I think our panelists need to see these videos. The moment you said,
I definitely also I got a Unity t-shirt for you, bro. I'll send you a DM. Send me your address and I'll send you over a free t-shirt, my man.
My dude. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. That being said, let's go into the final segment of today's show. All right. This is going to be a little bit of a bit of a shock to those who don't stay up on top of everything that AI is dropping. But for those of you guys that are in the trenches, you guys know the recent news. Maybe this is not as much of a wower to you, but to kind of start things off, and perhaps we'll kick it back to Vesper for this for a quick reset. Vesper, what do you think is the biggest misconception that people may fear when it comes to AI replacing humans?
Yeah, this is a really good question. I think that people have this fear because and I think that also, I just want to say, first of all, it's a genuine and real fear. I feel like sometimes we gaslight people into imagining that AI is perfect, that there's nothing wrong, that this is progress. If you're a doomer, then you have problems. No, it's a genuine fear. There are some industries which are going to be replaced by AI because AI is just better at doing some, very process-driven tasks. There are ways that AI is going to take away certain roles. For example, you might not need a very, very, very junior intern. You might just hire more senior or experienced entry-level staff because the AI can do very basic tasks if you direct it. And increasingly, if you're a very good orchestrator, you can really kind of have a strong colleague with AI. Funny story, I saw something online that on X that apparently people are copying they're telling the agents to adopt their colleagues' work and skills so that they can use AI to replace their colleagues. I don't know if this is true or not. It might just be clickbait, but there's that genuine fear, right? That somebody might code an agent based on your own labor and work as a human being and effectively steal the position you have. But if you notice, what I've been talking about industries, I've been talking about roles, I've been talking about positions. I haven't spoken about humans. Humans are irreplaceable. We are biological entities. AI inherently, whether it becomes intelligent or not, it will never be biological. It's just a kind of synthetic thing. So there's always something unique and special about human beings. But human beings also have roles and we have jobs and we need effectively to earn and live and get our meaning from that. So I think that people should hold the fact that as a human, you're irreplaceable, but the work you do 100% is replaceable. So it's probably a good idea to start thinking about types of work and labor that can't be easily replaced by AI. And also just think about developing yourself as much as possible as a human. Sometimes it's not possible because you literally need to work to feed yourself. You don't have time maybe to be thinking about these concerns. But I would say that the best way to encounter the fear, this is going to sound very wooey and strange and very new age, is to be radically self-loving. So be radical self-love. So love yourself enough as a human being to invest in yourself, to take advantage of all the tools that you have at your disposal, to kind of honor your unique place in the world by trying to, as much as possible, do something that's truly unique and going to allow you to live your best life. I know it's very new age, but to be honest, this is the best way to get ahead, to just be uniquely human and to not let the fear restrict you from moving forward. So that would be my very human take on the question.
I love how candid that was. Thank you so much for that, Vesper. Oh man, we got to coin this. We got to put this in frames and put this in the office or something. Humans can't be replaced, but the work you do can be. Oh man, that's in the shockwave, and I still have goosebumps on my arms from hearing that, Vesper. Oh my goodness, Andreas, man, please take the mic away from me. Let me rest for like 2 minutes, then we'll.
Yeah. I mean, we need to understand AI is being trained on all the data that's out there, right? So everything that AI is putting out is inherently average, right? So exceptional, so like AI can write cool texts and can quickly write something up, but AI will never be able to write exceptional pieces of literature, right? It's good at doing average stuff, right? Taking the average of all the information that's out there, but it's not going to do exceptional stuff, right? That's one thing. The other, we mentioned in the beginning, AI is a workforce multiplier. And I said in the first time I was speaking, I said that there is going to be a wave, there is going to be a major evolution in the marketplace where people who are adopting and utilizing this technology are going to be able to handle much more throughput, and companies who are not applying this tech are going to die. I really believe that, right? And it is, I think it's common sense, and everyone agrees with this now, that AI is going to replace a lot of jobs, right? And I feel like the fear is really justified, right? That many people have. And at the same time, AI is so empowering, right? The time that we're living in enables anyone in the world to start a company, to create something, to make their dreams come true with means that were never possible before, right? I mean, the internet already gave birth to internet entrepreneurs, people that coded stuff from their mom's basement, right? And became billionaires or at least made a good living for themselves. Now you don't even have to code anymore. Like, you don't even have to know anything. You just need to make the right decisions, as Ali said before. And you just need to lock in and get shit done, right? So there is the fear that people have is totally justified. And it's funny, it's more the white collar jobs that are going to be automated first than the blue collar jobs, right? If you work a normal job as a nurse or a construction worker, like, AI is not going to replace you. But if you have a crazy degree, you studied 6 years to become a stock analyst, investment banker, yeah, man, like, you're fucked. Like, you're going to be replaced first, right? All these high paying jobs, lawyers, investment bankers, analysts, like all these jobs that people were looking forward to study 6-7 years, they have to really rethink where they're going, right? So you will have two kinds of people. You will have the people that are going to be eaten by this, right? And you will have people that are going to thrive from it, right? It's going to be a really messy and weird time period. I assume the next 5 to 10 years, right? There's going to be a lot of unemployment. There's going to be a lot of cracks in the economy. We will have to think about a general base income across the board, where you're just getting paid to exist, right? Because we might not be able to create new jobs at the same pace than we are able to, or that are being automated away, right? So the only solution that I see right now, and at the same time, the biggest opportunity right now, is to take matters into your own hand and use these tools and start creating with them, right? So that's the best advice I would have for anyone out there who's looking at this, who might be worried. I think you need to put your worry aside, and get to work, right? It's a huge opportunity. The knowledge arbitrage is gigantic. People not knowing how to use this tech and maybe being too old to grasp it, and the possibilities that this tech can bring to the table.
100%. Sorry, I'd just like to chime in there before you guys. Very well said, bro. And I really agree. That's what's coming. I mean, if you think about how many businesses are going to automate their services and products with AI, obviously they're going to, fire people, right? Unemployment is going to be on the rise. The job opportunities aren't going to be right because of this. Like if you think about the majority of top 100 companies in America, they have less than like 50 employees, a lot of them. Obviously the big monopolies don't, but a lot of these big AI companies, startups, they don't really have that many employees. So yeah, 100%, brother. Well said. I think tough times are coming. So this is why, you gotta use this time to use AI to your advantage, right? Otherwise you're going to get left behind.
Kind of feels like the tough times, it feels like it's already here now. I don't know. Maybe I'm having maybe my internet connection is slow and I haven't really caught up yet. But it really does feel like those tough times that you guys are talking about that are to come in 2 to 3 years. I feel like it's already here in the present, but just maybe because we are here in Web3, I guess this feeling of this AI threat of taking over our jobs perhaps is not as exacerbated to the extent of what normies feel. I genuinely do believe this though. Normies are feeling the brunt of this reality a lot harsher than Web3 entrepreneurs are, but maybe that is just a short-lived state of mind. So this can all change very quickly. But guys, we are coming down to the final few minutes here. We got 3 hands, so let's go for a speed round here. Let's chalk it up. Toss it to Vitalik, Tony, and then we'll send it to Ali and then back to Vesper for some closing thoughts. Let's do it.
Yeah, I totally agree that it's possible that AI can take out a lot of jobs, but I think we currently living in a bubble where all of our friends are using AI and our industry is really deep in AI space. But the same was through the Steam revolution, and a lot of people lost their jobs on factories, etc., because of the machines, and it was very huge innovations that time. So at that time, people started to create labor unions. I think we will have something like that in a few years in different countries because of AI adoption. I think it will start from the European Union, after that ramp up to US, some regulatory, working regulatory, etc., because nobody wants to increase unemployment rate from the governance perspective. But generally speaking, I think we have another bottleneck, which we always forgetting when we're speaking about the AI, that AI adoption takes a lot of infrastructure. And every year we have a lot of manufacturing of the chips, building a lot of data centers, etc. But now there's not really, we can say we currently in the Cold War through the different geos, and even Iran yesterday told that they will bomb the main OpenAI data center in Saudi Arabia. And if something like that would happen, what we would do without this AI? We would adapt it very deeply, but in one moment we will get to the bottleneck. And with this bottleneck, we will see one of the two ways: or price will grow very fast, or only small amount of the companies will have access to these AI tools. So I believe that AI can replace a lot of jobs, but still we have to remember about the risk.
100% Vitalik. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Tony, let's go ahead and pass the mic over to you, brother.
I got just a couple of things to say. First of all, people stop saying if you don't use AI, you're going to die, because you never know what kind of AIs are listening to this, X Spaces, and they might take it as a prompt. And, the Terminator series, I think they start in 2028. So it's not that much time left. Anyway, the other thing I was going to say, regarding the misconceptions, within the, whole AI topic, it's still early. It's still there's still no AIG, right? Yeah, general AGI, whatever. Yeah. That thing. There is no that thing. So without that thing, AI is still literally a very complex and fancy algo that you can utilize to, do certain jobs for you. So it's a misconception in both realms of, people knowing what to do and people not knowing what to do. In the sense that, you get some people, and you might have heard me say like on a different space already. We've all seen the video with some guys just going, "Hey, ChatGPT, create me like $1 billion idea, like no investment, no skills, just make no mistake." It's one of the misconceptions, but at the same time, there is the other misconception that the AI is that dangerous right now. It can like literally vaporize all of us tomorrow. But that's where we get into. So please stop saying that we're going to die if we don't adopt it. Thank you.
I don't think anyone's going to be saying that anymore after today, my friend. Appreciate you, Tony. Ali, man, as our final speaker before our co-host closes things off, please, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, no, I'll keep it short, but I love the comments so far, and I hope I don't get vaporized to death. But I think it's simple to say that AI changes what humans need to be good at. Like I remember being back in middle school, high school, or even elementary. I think we were learning the multiplication table, and then every kid's like, "When am I ever going to use this?" And the same thing with like when you learn y equals mx plus b, and you're like, "Oh, like do I actually need to memorize this?" Like, well, no. Like you may not have a calculator in your hand all the time, but when you're probably going to be needing a calculator, you can have it in hand, and that's the same thing with AI. It's sort of taking over those tasks, and it's replacing those tasks that need to be done. But we as humans, we're valuable in that the tasks that actually have the highest throughput and impact and are valuable, we're the ones who own those tasks. So, making strategic decisions, relationship building trust between one another, being creative, right? Like these are all things that we as humans were organic. And when it comes to this, and we own this, but at the same time, AI does raise the ceiling across the board. And I think we need to like really, really understand this when it comes to just everything and anything we do. Like, yes, people are shipping quicker, but because it's a force multiplier and all those boring tasks, boilerplate code templates are being built and these apps are being built, it just raises, the playing field for all of us. We need to start making better decisions, start getting more creative, look what's out there and start collaborating more with one another, right? Put our beautiful brains together and make even cooler solutions. And I think that's the direction we need to go. Definitely there's a huge risk with everything, but we're amazing creations, right? And we have such brilliant brains with this organic creativity, and that is what is unique about us. And we can I wouldn't fall into like this pit of despair when it comes to like these AI tools being built. AGI is definitely going to come eventually, but think about how long it'll take for AGI to be adopted and grow and become actually useful in various tasks. Like that'll take some time as well. So we'll get there, but we're very valuable.
Hey, my man, we are very valuable indeed. Man, AI changes what humans need to be good at. When we were actually conceptualizing what today's show was going to be about, we went for the more educational route. We wanted the show to be educational, but I had no idea the show was going to end up being educational, philosophical, and inspirational. So panelists, well done, you guys. Truly, this has been awesome. But to close things off, Vesper, let me bring it back home to you. First of all, closing thoughts for today's show. And secondly, what are some upcoming updates happening at Meteora Ecosystems that all of us need to be paying more attention to?
Yeah, wow, this was such a great conversation. I laughed and I also learned a lot, so it was good. Thanks very much for hosting, Ice. Yeah, I really feel like the panelists kind of covered everything in great detail. Don't be overwhelmed by the tools, but also do dive in a way that makes sense to you. Be very aware of the fact that the world is going to change very rapidly in the next couple of years, and you want to make sure that you're ahead of those changes in ways that kind of are also organic to you, not trying to maybe be really anxious and adopting technology or spending so much time and money on things that aren't helpful. So you have to be kind of like quite judicious and sure about what you're building towards and very strategic. But yeah, I think my takeaway is that like we are really fortunate to be in, I'll just call it Web3 broadly, because we have a lot of people who are doing cool things, a lot of protocols who are at the forefront of all of these changes. So I genuinely think that many of us are ahead just by being in this space. So I'd encourage everyone to kind of take advantage of what your ecosystems offer. Many ecosystems host workshops. So I'll just pin from Solana's angle. And Solana's not the only one. So if you don't like Solana, don't let this put you off. Figure out which blockchain ecosystem you're in and make sure you take advantage of whatever they're offering. So for example, X402 is probably one of the more dominant ecosystems for Solana. They recently hosted an event in New York, just welcoming people there. And I'll just pin what they have coming up is an event in Miami for Accelerate. So I've just shared that to the space. So you can like start to see that there are opportunities out there everywhere at any level. And oftentimes you might want to do something in real life because you can kind of have very human conversations with some of these people who maybe you can't approach online. So just figure out in your local setting, maybe it's going to be at a university, maybe it's a ClawCon meetup. I know we have one in London today. They're all happening all over the world. Just find yourself people who know what they're talking about, who can kind of like help you understand how you can take advantage of the space is what I would say the biggest takeaway is for everyone. I really feel like it's a very good thing to pay attention to. We all know there's people in our lives who are telling us to buy Bitcoin, or we saw Bitcoin on TV in some random TV show and we were like, that's kind of cool. And then like cut to like 10 years later, we all know how we feel about that. Or some of us are playing games, like the classic meme. I was playing games, but I should have been buying Bitcoin. So AI is an even huger opportunity. And I think that for many people from day one, it can start improving your life. Wasn't the case with crypto for some people, is the case with AI. So please do listen to what the panelists have said. Follow everyone who's speaking. Maybe you'll see some people in the audience. Just make sure that you kind of try to make this practical for your life also.
Thank you so much for that, Vesper. Make use of the resources that you guys have around you, all right? And it's just like Vesper said, crypto, blockchain technology, maybe it's not directly applicable to your life, but when it comes to using AI to immediately start improving the quality of your life, this is something that is tangible and that it is something that we have control over. But I guess just to kind of throwing back to me for the closing thoughts now, because I learned a lot of stuff from you guys today as well. And if there's anything that comes to mind, I feel like it's the idea that since AI has taken the world by storm, AI has become this ultimate harbinger of average, right? It sounds scary. I get it. It does sound very scary, but because if the average is going up, like how do I compete? And everybody is thinking about that. But the reality is that the easier it is to hit the average, the more complacent your competitors are going to become. So to those who have been going above and beyond and above average this whole time, you still have the skill sets and the habit that will allow you to go above and beyond. So just because everyone else is catching up quickly does not mean that you aren't still fully capable of standing out from the crowd. So do not lose hope, guys. That being said, ladies and gents, this will mark the end of our show for today. Panelists, thank you guys so much for joining us for today's conversation. I really did enjoy it, and I hope our audience members did as well. And speaking of so, audience members, thank you guys for tuning in and dropping all those likes, comments, and retweets. We really do appreciate all the love and support. And one last time, make sure you guys are following Meteora Ecosystem's house account. And remember to turn on those notifications so you guys don't miss out on any of their latest updates. But until then, this is going to be Ice and Vesper signing off, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.